There we go. Hey, what's going on? It's Jave and Andy from Two Dudes Reviews and Spencer from Ice Nine Kills. What's shaking, bacon? Are we on your bus right now? Where are we hanging out?
We are on the bus right now. It's pretty rock and roll. We've got some couches and a refrigerator. It's just like the stuff in the dirt. If you've seen that Motley Crue movie, it's exactly the same. We keep all the drugs and the prostitutes in the bathroom during these kind of interviews. So
sure,
we'll keep it PG.
And all that stuff. Same as what
all that stuff.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So Spencer, congratulations on the Silver Scream, man. Really ambitious album too. You've kind of turned concept album on its head with, the last album written about, every song was written about different novels, and this one about different horror films. What's your personal favorite horror movie of all time?
It's a hard question to answer. I've got so many. The one that started for me, that started off my love of the genre, was definitely Halloween. I saw it when I was a little kid, probably 7 or 8 years old. I would go with my mother to the video store, which was inside of a supermarket. So she would be shopping, and I would be trying to kill time while she shopped for whatever, Cheerios or something, whatever I liked at the time. And for whatever reason, I was drawn to the horror aisle. I don't know why. It wasn't like I had an older sibling or an older devious friend that wanted to corrupt my mind. It was just I went for that aisle, and I would gaze at the covers, the VHS covers of all the Halloweens and Friday the 13th and Sleepaway Camp and Silent Night, Deadly Night and Creepshow. And I just really wanted to know what these movies were about. And my parents were cool enough to let me see Halloween. I remember my mom told me that she saw the original Halloween in theaters when she was pregnant with my sister, and she said that it was a double feature. They went to see Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and Halloween was the preview before it. Back in the day, I guess they had double screenings or whatever, and it was the scariest thing they ever saw, and it made Invasion of the Body Snatchers seem like Leave It to Beaver or something, you know what I mean?
Was that at a drive-thru, or was it at the regular sit-down movie theater?
I think it was a regular sit-down movie theater, but I know it's so cool to be able to talk to them about it because they're the only ones that I know that saw the original Halloween in the theater. And I think they allowed me to see it because they thought, he'll grow out of this stuff. And meanwhile, 25 years later, I'm sitting talking about these movies, and our band is based off of that stuff. So I would go with Halloween, and a very close second, probably Scream, just because it took all the movies and all the genre tropes and cliches and turned them on its head. And that was the first horror movie that I actually saw in the theater when I was 11. And I remember watching on the screen and being so captivated because I'm turning over to my cousin. I'm like, do you hear? They're talking about Jason. They're talking about Michael in this movie. And I just love the whole self-referential nature of it. And, of course, Friday the 13th is also one of my favorites.
Andy, how about you? Favorite horror movie of all time?
Ooh, well, I'm kind of a Halloween fan. That was probably one of the first that I really dug because of course, Jamie Lee Curtis and
I thought Nightmare on Elm Street, the first couple were good. The whole Friday the 13th thing, I didn't get. The Halloween thing, I didn't get. The Exorcist, that one
is
freaked
crazy.
the hell out because it was just so wrong in so many ways.
Amityville Horror. And Poltergeist.
The kind of crazy one.
Those are the big ones for me because that's when I was a kid, right?
Yeah,
so
totally.
Poltergeist, Amityville Horror, all those. That was
all great choices.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those were the movies that just freaked me out. I
actually had the pleasure of I did an interview for this website called Dread Central that had me go to the Universal Hollywood Horror Nights opening this past fall. And they chose me to walk through the Poltergeist house. Every year they have different houses that, they'll recreate Halloween or they'll recreate Friday the 13th. And this year they did Poltergeist. And they had the guy who played the little kid walk through the house with me.
Oh, no way.
So I walked through the house. He was seeing it for the first time. And I'm sitting there, or walking rather, through this house based on Poltergeist with the actor that played the little kid. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. So looking back, did you enjoy the process of making some of these complimenting videos that are shot like long movie scenes? It seems like There'd be a lot of hurry up and wait with filming something as ambitious as that, but was that a fun experience for you?
It definitely was a fun experience. I've, always been interested in film and specifically horror, and it was kind of getting to live out a little fantasy of being able to implant myself in these sort of iconic scenes, even though these are homages to the film, to the films. The one we did about Friday the 13th, we were in an abandoned summer camp in the woods in the summer filming Thank God It's Friday, which is based on Jason and the whole mythos behind that story. So it was definitely really exciting, and but yes, there is a lot of hurry up and wait. You're sitting there, whether you're going through makeup for hours with appliances, like for the American Nightmare video where I played Freddy, or just kind of waiting in the woods in the middle of the night because you film at all hours and you're freezing your butt off. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can't get much better than that.
Now, are there plans to do a video for every single song on the album, The Silver Scream, and then link them all together to kind of be its own movie? That's the way that the liner notes are kind of written.
Yes, we won't have time to do every single song, but we do have a final installment of the series coming very soon that will tie everything together. It's actually in the editing process right now. We're in post-production on it.
Wow.
And when it's all said and done, we will string it together and release it as a full film, and it will run about 90 minutes, so it will be a feature-length film.
Now, how deep are you involved in the making of the actual videos, the movie side of it?
Very involved. I work very closely with Little Sky Films. Our director, Daniel Horahan, and I get together, and we basically, I brainstorm out the overarching concept, and he's really good at writing dialogue, and we just complement each other really well, and I'm involved in almost every single aspect of it, as far as storyline, casting, and I love putting my friends as roles, little cameo roles here and there. A good friend of mine plays the newscaster, Roy Merkin. Still no one has really gotten what Merkin is. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but look it up. It's a pretty funny term. And we're just in the editing process right now.
Any designs on a full feature-length horror film from you?
Meaning outside of the band?
Yeah.
I would love to. Someone like Rob Zombie has always been someone I've always looked up to as an idol. That he's a rock star, but he also makes great horror films and directs their own videos. And I'd love to branch out and eventually be able to be in a position where I can do that stuff as well, because I've got a lot of ideas.
I was going to say, man, I mean, it's pretty cool. You could cast some of your own friends into these videos. If one of the videos has to do with a colonoscopy gone bad, this guy was ready to.
I'll do it.
Ready to jump in.
I can't. I will go through the audition process. I can't promise anything, but we'll do a full rectal exam at some point.
So 5 albums. What fundamentally has changed with the Silver Scream to kind of get you guys to the next level? You're obviously hitting a whole new audience. Radio is coming to the table now in a much bigger way than ever in the past. Tell me about that.
It's been really exciting. Before this album, we never had any sort of radio play. Our label Fearless, which is backed by Concord, which in turn is backed by Universal, has really gotten behind the band, and it's the first time we've had like a radio team pushing our music. And what's interesting about the whole process to me is that the song that's currently being played on the radio, A Grave Mistake, before this whole thing came about with us doing radio stuff, I didn't really listen to modern rock radio anymore. I grew up loving rock radio. I grew up in the 90s with, Nirvana made me want to play guitar, and Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots, and then I sort of kind of fell more to the underground, the heavy stuff, the screaming, and I kind of lost touch with radio. But now that we're starting to be played, I've started to listen to all this stuff now, and there are a lot of great new bands coming out, but I think that I really like how A Grave Mistake turned out, and it wasn't influenced by anything modern, which I think maybe helped it potentially stand out, because it was more of, to me, like an homage to the 90s rock that I loved growing up.
So the 90s are your biggest influence, rock and roll wise, or what other music genres do you influence your style of what you do today?
Well, definitely the 90s rock, and not only like the hard rock, like, or, metal, like Metallica, or any of those more mainstream rock bands, but also pop. I loved pop punk growing up. I was a big Drive-Thru Records supporter. I love that whole scene, the Epitaph record scene in Southern California. Bands like Goldfinger and Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake. That's a big influence for me. And then also musical theater, Les Miserables, Phantom of the Opera are really big influences to me melodically. So I love tying in all those different worlds into our music. And with this album, I really got a chance to experiment with sort of paying respect to those influences. I mean, we have a song about Stephen King's It. And when I was writing it, there was a part that I was like, this sounds like a ska band should be doing this. Let's ask Less Than Jake. And they play horns on the song. So I've got it just runs a whole spectrum of influences, from really, really heavy stuff with all screaming, like Cannibal Corpse kind of stuff, through the 90s, through a pop band like Eve 6, to West End musicals.
Wow, very, very cool. What are the three biggest items on your either personal or professional bucket list right now?
Well, that's a tough one. I would like to tour Australia. I've never been to Australia, and I just hear rave reviews about how beautiful it is. Japan, mostly because I'm a huge sushi enthusiast, and
you come to Reno, we're the land of the all-you-can-eat sushi establishment.
I'm having all-you-can-eat sushi tonight.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are in Reno, right?
Yeah.
So where do I go for sushi in Reno?
Oh, God. Right next door, Sakana is one of the best places. But
and then down the street from my house. We're walking to dinner tonight.
Tokyo Sushi. There's literally an all-you-can-eat sushi establishment on every single street corner.
There are 30 all-you-can-eat sushi restaurants in Reno.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I really like Reno because I feel like I'm back in like a Scorsese film for some reason. It has that sort of 80s retro aesthetic, and like, I don't know, it looks like the cinematography, it would fit perfectly in like a Scorsese film. I don't know if Casino is supposed to be Reno or Vegas, but I feel like I'm there when I'm in the biggest little city in the world.
So there you go. So the next Casino horror flick or horror video you want to make, come here, and we'll help you.
I'll do it.
We'll help you make
I'll do it.
Spencer, what does your dream tour look like? If you could go out on the road with anybody and you were crafting the package, obviously Ice Nine Kills would be a part of it, but what does a dream tour look like? Wow.
That's a difficult one, too. I think it would be really random. If we're talking about stuff that is actually possible in the sense that, Kurt Cobain's not going to make an appearance in Nirvana anymore, I would say Metallica, because of the grandiosity of their performance, and a band that I've loved since I was a little kid. And then I would throw in, a band like Less Than Jake, so we could do our song live with them. And, I'd say that'd be a pretty cool, strange lineup. Maybe Slipknot for good measure.
Oh, yeah. Slipknot is brutal live. Have you ever seen Slipknot, Andy?
I have not.
Oh, my God. Incredible live. Okay, so we started off the interview talking a little bit about Motley Crue.
The Crue. Yeah.
To kind of bring things around full circle, who do you think would win in a street fight between Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue?
Man, that's a tough one. I actually ended up interviewing Slash one time at that same event I was telling you about for the Universal Hollywood Horror Nights, and he just seems like such a badass dude. Like, he was really nice, but at the same time, like, if you mess with him, I think, he'd have some tricks up his sleeve and just hit you over the head with that Gibson and probably decapitate you. So I'd go with Guns N' Roses.
I'm thinking Vince Neil against Axl Rose.
Oh, my God. Axl Rose would take him. Vince Vince looks like a Yeti, man.
I know he does, but doesn't Axl too?
And that's bad. I mean,
Not as
Axl
bad,
actually
okay.
gets out there and runs around and sings. He still has a bit of a voice. Well, Spencer, I know you got a lot of other stuff going on, man. I really appreciate the time today, and again, congratulations on everything. Can't wait to get you guys back here on the West Coast again. One other thing. You're from Boston, yes?
Correct.
No accent. Your tour manager doesn't
very
have
little.
a Jersey accent either.
His Boston accent is very, very, very slight.
Slight.
It's very slight, if at all. My uncle, he has it. A few other people on my mom's side of the family have it, but I really don't. It comes out in a few words, like when I say room. I don't say room, I say room.
Yeah.
So that's
How do you say
about
rum?
it. What?
How do you say rum?
Oh, like the drink?
There you go.
The same way. Let's have some.
Let's
I would say let's have some rum in the room.
There you go.
And red rum,
Red
obviously,
rum,
because
of
I'm
course.
a sick guy.
There you go.
There you go. Hey, Spencer.
I love
again.
that in utero plaque, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That was not it was not an official release, so it doesn't have the RIAA sticker on it.
Yeah.
But I was pretty early instrumental in the first Nirvana album, and then when I became a program director, as a way of them saying thanks, because I was the guy that was beating up my program director when Nirvana first came out, like, dude, this is the next thing. They sent that to me. So everything's got a story back here somehow.
That's really cool. The first album we ever released and mastered, we specifically went to this place called Peerless Mastering in Boston because they mastered Bleach, and that's why. So.
Nice.
Cool.
Hey, have a great rest of the afternoon and evening, man, and we will catch up to you soon.
Thanks for the time.
Thanks for playing the song. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Take care.
You too, man.